So thank you for coming today. And first order of business, if you'd please, after the session, fill out the feedback form and leave it here so that we can know what things you liked and didn't like and improve on them in the future. And so I'll jump right in here and get to my discussion. So first, a question for anybody here. If you have more than 100 emails in your inbox right now, would you please raise your hand? How about 500? Jesus. 1,000? Seriously? Wow. Now I feel a little bit agitated. Well, hopefully I'm going to be able to help you today because that's a mess. So just as far as the email, so at least for me, it's to have even 10 in my inbox is a productivity killer. I just admittedly very neurotic, and I can just work better if I have a clean slate there. And so I've come up with some coping mechanisms to try to make that happen over the years, and it's been very effective. Right now, I have one single email in my inbox, and so I'm going to take care of that shortly after the session here. But Inbox Zero, which I practice, it's a combination of a couple guys. So a guy named Merlin Mann, he was the one that really innovated the whole concept a while back, and it's he has 5 different stages that he uses to process an email. He'll either delete, delegate, respond, defer, or do. And then also there's David Allen, who wrote a book called Getting Things Done, and he has more of an involved method there with all these different stages. It's a very good book if you haven't read it. I have sort of a hybrid of these two things. I break my process down into 4 different actions whenever an email comes in. Either I'll reply, archive, task, and delete, and each of those has a couple of subsets to it. So when I replied, I basically have a pretty short response. I'll either respond to maybe a sentence or two, or I'll have a canned email. And for the short, like a lot of people for some reason like to send me these big novels for emails, and I will read all or most of it, but I always have a very short response. And some mutual friends have told me that they were put off by that. They thought that I was being rude, that I didn't, I guess, respond with a novel in kind. But it really doesn't, to me, it doesn't merit a big gigantic response where you can just make it nice and succinct. And then the canned ones, it's something I'll show you in a second that I use with Gmail. And a lot of these tips are Gmail specific, so if you're using something else, my apologies. But I think Gmail is superior. So, oh, look at that, I screwed up my fonts. So the canned response is, if you're using Gmail and you haven't used Gmail Labs yet, there's a lot of really cool tools in there. One of them is called just canned responses. Basically, you just have to enable that. And what you can do is if you get a lot of emails that are similar topics that you're answering, you can just have this canned response, just like the name there, and you can go select that whenever somebody emails you and just pop it in, and you can customize it if necessary. But I've got like 15 of these that I use all the time because I just get the same questions over and over again. And I used to manually respond to them. It was just a crazy waste of time to say the same thing when I could just pop in one of these answers and knock it out in 5 seconds. Then with archive, I have a couple different or I guess 3 different steps that I use when I archive. Some things, they're just sort of an FYI, so I'll just instantly archive it and send it away forever. Then with labels, some things get automatically archived. Like, for instance, if any email that was related to this particular conference, if it's with vendors and attendees and things, I'll have those. Some of them are just sort of auto emails that I'll have automatically labeled and archived. Some other ones I'll label them, then I'll archive them so I can search them easily in the future. And then there is send and archive, which is one of the options on Gmail, because to me there's no reason to not have that activated, because right as you send your email, it disappears from your inbox, because I don't really see why you would want to keep it in your inbox. To me that doesn't make sense. Then it's not really showing on the screen here, but the other one is filter. And so with that, like if there are certain emails from forms and things that you want to have for future reference, but you don't really need to access, I'll have those automatically just pump right into my archive so that they're searchable later, but I don't need to touch them. Wow, all my fonts are so messed up. And then create a task. So what I do in Gmail is that there's an option if you click on the More button to add to tasks. So basically, whenever I get an email that I don't have to deal with right now, I'll add it to tasks, and my tasks become basically my to-do list. So I'll say, like, I'll get this email, I'll push it away to this Thursday, and when I get home, I'll deal with it then, and it's something that I can just process then. And so both my events in Gmail and my tasks become my to-do list for each day, and then it enables me to clear out that inbox more. And then with delete, there are a bunch of different scenarios here where I'll just delete them. Some things that just merit no response. They're just some junk that doesn't have an unsub option to it, so I'll just get rid of those. Then the unsubscribes, I used to subscribe to probably dozens, 50, 60, I don't know, different email lists, and I was finding that I was literally never reading any of these emails, and so some of them I kept and I turned them into filters so that I pushed them right to my archives. Others I just figured like I truly don't care what these people are saying, so I just unsubscribed. Sometimes they're friends. I felt like sort of a jerk that I was unsubscribing from their newsletter, but it was a lousy newsletter, and so I dumped it. And then mark as spam. I love that option. I don't know if it actually does anything, if Google actually cares that I'm doing that, but it's therapeutic to me, and I do it. And then some Gmail data. There's a free service called Gmail Meter that you can sign up for, and so if you're using Gmail, they'll push you this data every month so you can see what kind of numbers you're doing with your Gmail. And so for instance, this past December, I had over 5,000 emails that I received, and I sent out nearly 700, and these are strictly the emails. It doesn't include any of the chats that we have for our Affiliate Summit. We do a lot of chats through Gmail. Any spam, that doesn't count. The calendar invites, this is strictly just the email. So I processed over 5,000 emails for the month, and some of the data I had here that says act fast, can't really tell there, but with this chart you can see that the times that I respond, so a good nearly 23% of the emails I receive I respond to in less than 5 minutes. So I mentioned that I'm a little bit neurotic, that might show you there. Then about a 15% I'll get to in less than 15 minutes, another 16 plus in less than an hour, and then another 20% or so in less than 4 hours, and overall just another, I guess, 20 or 15% or so in less than a day. So just maybe 1/6 or so of my emails I take more than a day to respond to across 7 days a week. So that's certainly one thing. You might not want to be that maniacal about it, but it just became a mission to me to keep this inbox down. And also I like to keep my emails, as I mentioned, I keep short emails. So here you can see that the red lines are me here. So a good 30% of my emails are less than 30 words, and another 30+% are less than 50 words, and less than 10% overall are ever more than 200 words. And that's a huge rarity. I can't even imagine the last time I would have written an email that long, but apparently it happened a few times in December. I'm not sure what happened there, but I like to keep it nice and simple, and for whatever reason, you can see these big blue lines towards the right. People like to send me these big Moby Dick length emails for some reason. I think it's just to torture me, possibly. And this is, my font script is really driving me crazy here. This is when the emails are coming in, and so you can see they're pretty much, I'm getting sort of pounded from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time where I live, and so I pretty much can. And it's sort of funny, I guess I never really thought about the fact that they were coming in then, but I wake up about 6 and I go through tons of emails and I take a little break, help with my kids and eat breakfast and stuff, and then I get back to it about 8. And so I guess for some reason the people that are sending me emails, I guess, seem to appreciate that, and they give me an hour break there. But I have this whole big mountain for the entire workday where the emails come in, and they really sort of cut off around dinner time. And that just coincides with, I guess maybe I started working in that pattern just because that's when the emails are coming in. But fortunately, they really seem to calm down in the evening time. And so this is when the flow of my emails come in. The blues are when I receive them, and the reds are when I send them. So I get nuts, and I send a lot of them on Monday and Tuesday to catch up. And then I really cut down in a big way on Saturday and Sunday. But so it really seems to go in this big sort of almost consistent line down there for when I send and receive them. And so we do, since all of the people in Affiliate Summit were all sort of spread all over the place. I'm in Austin, Texas, and my partner Missy is in Orlando. We've got some people in Virginia. We're just all over the place. So we do we don't really talk ever, except for when we're in person. So all of our internal emails, we just chat and do emails, and then so the rest of them there, 80% of my other messages are to the outside world. But so I do a lot of internal ones too for our messaging. And this here, if you've never seen this, on the right-hand side, if you ever hit inbox 0 on your iPhone, you get this little smiley thing that says, "You have no mail, please enjoy your day." And I get an unreasonable happiness when I see that. And then you don't really get any kind of glorious message on the web-based version. I'm not sure why they give you the treat for Gmail, but on the iPhone. But I try to hit this. I've been there for most of today, and I've been very pleased with myself because of that. Some tools that I use to help me to keep the email down. So there's one called Boomerang, and it's a really cool tool. So basically what it does, and I've used it a lot in the last couple of days, if I have something that I can wait till next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to attend to, I just put it in there and I say what day and time I want it to come back into my inbox, and it literally just goes away into the ether, and then it flies back when I tell it to, and it reappears in my inbox. So on Wednesday I'm going to get completely slammed. Hopefully Southwest is giving me Wi-Fi on the way home. But I have a lot of emails that be boomeranging back to me. But I use that all the time just so things that I know I'm not going to attend to in the next day or the next week, or sometimes it might be something I just don't have to deal with for 2 months. I just send it away and forget about it, and it just flies back to me. So that's a fantastic service. And they also have an option that if you ever had a reason for it, you can schedule an email for when you want it to drop. So I guess if you wanted to pretend you're at work at a certain time, you could go off and go fishing or something at noon and send an email to drop at noon so your boss thinks you're there. It's sort of a cool feature. And then another one's called Sidekick by HubSpot. HubSpot's hidden there. And the neat thing with this is it tells you when and where people are opening your emails. And I guess it's somewhat of an efficiency tool. It's more of a nut job tool that I like just because I like to know when people open my stuff. But like so once in a while you get somebody that says like, "Oh yeah, I haven't seen your email yet." And you're like, "No, Kale, you opened it up 19 times yesterday." And so it's sort of satisfying even if you don't call them out on it. But the cool thing there too is that if you do have some kind of important email that you sent to somebody, you can see that they never did open it, so you can know to call them. So it's helpful instead of just stewing there, be like, "Come on, get back to me." You can know that they never saw it. So it's helpful to say like, "Oh, I just wanted to follow up," and you won't sound like a stalker. So it's a nice thing. And then undo send, it's another one of the free things from Google, the Gmail Labs. And so I've had that a couple times. So you have like sort of a sender's remorse where maybe you're sort of fired up about something and you write some email and you're like, "I hate this guy." And you hit send and you're like, "Oh no, I shouldn't have said that." And so you can set it for like 5 or 10 or 15, 20 seconds where you have a grace period where you can undo it and let it come back in so you can edit it or just delete it. And that's nice too. Sometimes it can just be something where you forgot to put an attachment on or just any kind of reason why you wanted to undo that send. But it's a fun thing because I'm sort of scatterbrained, so a lot of times I have that recovery. It's nice to have that little mulligan where you can fix the email and resend it. But that's it. I'm sorry for the fonts. You might not have cared about it, but it's tortured me that I screwed them up because they look perfect on my computer when I set it up. But thanks a lot for coming, and if anybody has any questions, please come up to the microphone, and I'd be happy to answer them and try to help you. But, oh, here we go.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask the statistics dashboard. Can you, where is that again that you were showing? Where did you find that?
So it's called Gmail Meter. If you just go to gmailmeter.com. And I actually, all of the different services I mentioned here, I scheduled some tweets to go out during the session. So if you look at the ASW15 hashtag, I have links to Boomerang and Gmail Meter and all the different tools I mentioned in here. So you can see all those on there. So they are dropping every 5 minutes while we're in here. The ones on Gmail Labs are free. Boomerang and Sidekick, I think they're maybe like $5 a month or so. They might have free versions too, I forget. Yeah, but Boomerang, it's so well worth it to me. I use it constantly just to schedule things, and so to me, maybe I pay $5 or so a month for it. I'd pay $20 for it, $25. It's so worth it for the efficiency it brings me. Anybody else? Well, one of them would be, I guess, like hopefully a lot of those are newsletters and not like personal correspondence that you've been blowing off. And so say like you just had like so maybe you might have 100 for one newsletter, 100 for another newsletter, so you can go in there and you can create filters to just automatically archive or delete those, so you can just get like the sender for like, say like a newsletter from like a Webmaster Radio or something, and so you could just set up filters and you could just blow out a lot of that just by getting rid of the newsletters that you don't really have to read, and then just maybe like any kind of like auto replies and things like that, like just like when we were here, if I wasn't getting rid of my auto replies, like we dropped an email yesterday and I got like 100 emails from that. So I just instantly went in there and created a filter to dump all of those straight to delete. But I think you could probably, hopefully, get rid of at least half or 75% of those just by creating some filters and bring back some sanity.
So I have a question on the send and archive. Do they all archive to the same place? Can you tell it where to archive? So if I want to find it in different tabs or different sections in my Gmail?
Well, I guess specifically for Gmail, like I had a little bit of a conversion when I went there from Outlook many years ago because I was so used to having my folders. But so when you send an archive, there's the one big massive archive of all of your email, and then if you have any labels for it, then labels are sort of the equivalent of folders on Outlook. So, so it's you can either search by a label or overall. But I found that the Gmail search, just if you know like one or two words that's in that email, it's a fantastic search. I always am able to find things, whereas when I used to use Outlook, I pretty much never had luck. I'm not sure why the search for keywords in there was so messed up, but I could never find things. At least this was like 5 years ago. But so it's helpful if you always do put labels on your things if you wanted to be able to just find it by eyeballing instead of looking by keywords.
Have you found that the search works as well on your phone? I keep everything in my inbox, so I'm scared to have it gone. I know. No, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But the search works just as well to go back and grab things from 2 years ago on your phone?
Yeah, because I use it. I have a good 5 years of archives
Okay.
on my phone, and it's as long as you have a good connection, it's lightning fast for Gmail to respond to your searches.
Okay.
So I've been very pleased with it. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much for coming. If you have any other questions you want to come up to me, feel free, or you can reach me at Shawn, SHAWN, at affiliatesummit.com if you wanted to follow up afterwards with anything. And I know, and one last thing, happy birthday to Eric Nagel back there. Thanks a lot.